I'm Donny Gleason. I'm the head coach here at PFW.
My name is Andrew Mayer. I'm a Libero junior here.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Coach Gleason. This is your second year as the head coach at Purdue Fort Wayne. What did you learn from your first year in the MIVA that you are applying to this season?
Yeah, I think last year I learned winning in the MIVA is hard. There's a lot of good teams every weekend. And I think at my previous stop watching the MIVA from afar, it was always exciting, right? Because you knew anybody could beat anybody, and then experiencing that firsthand was a cool new challenge. And so I think just learning that the physicality, the understanding of the game, the touch on the ball, everything has to be at such a high level if you want to win in this conference. And it's fun taking on that challenge in year two here.
And then Andrew, this is your third year, you're a junior, but the last 2 years you've spent as the starting libero. The libero position in the MIVA is probably one of the best in the country. How do you stand out at the libero position when across the board it is such a strong position?
Yeah, I first just want to acknowledge all the other Liberos. It's been super fun competing against them the last 2 years, and I'm excited to compete again this year. Kind of as Libero, I try to stay pretty humble and focus on my team success instead of my own success, considering we really can't score points. um, but a couple ways I can stand out this year, especially for this team. We got a lot of new pieces, so just holding our team's brain, whether that be making some serve receive adjustments, just facilitating our system. I just do that by focusing on my role one point at a time, so that my teammates know that I have their back and they can trust me to do my job every time. Secondly, this past season, this fall semester, I got a little knockback with a concussion. Got pretty hit hard in the head, but that kind of took a toll on my physical game. I was kind of getting scared to hit at. So it really made me focus on reading the game at a higher level. And now that I'm fully back, being that taller libero, I've always thought I had pretty good range. So now building that range with the reading the game at a higher level, I think I could be pretty deadly.
Yeah, and am I allowed to also comment
Of
on his
course,
question?
of course. Yeah, I was gonna follow it up. But yeah, go ahead.
For sure. And I think, last year with the coaching change, there's new systems getting implemented. Everybody is kind of a freshman at that point, right? And now rolling into this year with some upperclassmen, I'm always looking for guys, whether I'm recruiting or whatever, 18 going on 40 maturity wise, right? And, Andrew was talking about holding the brain out there, and just now this year having clear extension of the coaching staff out on the court, knowing what is our defensive system, offensive system, being able to trust Andrew to help direct traffic and navigate, especially with a lot of younger guys coming into the gym. Yeah. I think this year he's going to feel way more confident doing that now that he's been kind of in these systems for a year. So excited for that.
Yeah. Well, how do you build that confidence back up after you have a libero like Andrew go down with an injury?
You did.
Just so many reps. I got cleared to play again. A couple of weeks went by, and coaches really saw it. They were like, "You're really kind of scared to get hit."
We'll use the word tentative.
Tentative, yeah. But just reps, so many reps. After practice, before practice, just asking another coach to just get up on the box and hit at me, just so I can get that feeling back again. And I'd say I'm back to normal now.
Yeah, and I think it was a good problem to have. Is last year, I think we were missing a little bit of firepower to hang in the MIVA, guys that just could go up and terminate even on, not perfect sets or out of system situations. And now having some more live arms in the gym. Andrew kind of caught a stray early in the fall. So
did the rally continue? Was the ball kept up? That's the only thing that matters, right?
Unfortunately, it was not up.
No silver line.
We'll have to get the volumetrics footage.
Yeah.
Oh, we already burned it.
Okay, so heading into this season, what should fans expect out of a second year under Coach Gleason and a new Purdue Fort Wayne team?
Yeah, first, we definitely aren't as tall as we were last year. but I got to give my coach a lot of credit. He did a good job recruiting. So we got a ton of athletes this year. Um, we still got, as he said earlier, big firepower, big arms. Um, so fans just expect longer rallies, big athletic, pretty explosive plays. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I would say, we talk about not being a finished product as an athlete. I mean, we're 18 to 22 years old. If you think you're hitting your peak at 18 or 19, then you're just not having the perspective we're looking for, right? So we've got a lot of freshmen, a few transfers who are making the jump up in level of play, right? So what I would say is, like, if fans are coming to watch, that the product we're putting on the court in February is going to be stronger than January, and March stronger than February, right? Like, we've got a lot of young guys who are going to be learning and who are excited to learn, right? I think at this level, it's natural for some guys to be like, well, I've always been great. So, like, what do you mean I have to get better? But we've got a crew that sees the big picture, right? And we know we're young. We know that there's, a direction that we want to head in, whether we're winning or losing. And I think we're going to keep that composure. And, like, one of our core motivators as a program is growth. And so, like, with such a young crew, I think you're going to see growth throughout the entire season.
Yeah, and I think you see from across the board in the MIVA, you've got teams that have been in it for a while and they're still struggling to find respect in this game. What is it about this team that this year should be fighting to earn respect?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, like, if you zoom out and you talk about, like, teams, traditions, or legacies, or, like, this program has a lot of history of success, right? Back in the 90s and 2000s. And I think we don't want to look back at the history and be like, hey, here's why you should respect our program, right? Like, we want to earn it now. And I think it's great to celebrate that history, but knowing that we've got a bunch of young, hungry guys who are like, we're just going to grind this year, all right? We're going to put that work in. We're going to get better every single day. And that's where I want that respect to come from, is when somebody comes and watches us, it's like, that is a hardworking team.
You talk about your young and hungry guys. Obviously, you've got your elder libero, you're the junior, but you've got your older libero. What other athletes on this Purdue Fort Wayne team should we be looking out for this season?
And I think this is pretty similar to a lot of MIVA teams right now, is some new guys are going to be out on the court for them, right? I don't think anybody returns like a full starting unit. So for us, we're looking at potentially 4 or 5 guys being in new roles out on the court. So I think both of our transfers, Owen Banner and Brody McAfee, both have a chance to impact the team. And, we've also got some young guys, some freshmen coming into the gym. I think one in particular who showed some composure throughout the fall is Carlo on the outside, and he's a local guy just like Andrew here. So what's exciting or nerve-wracking, depending on how I'm feeling that day, is we don't know what they're going to look like when the lights get bright, right? And, all fall they can show some cool stuff, but our record's still 0-0 at the moment. And so I think we're going to learn a lot about this group and those young guys throughout that month of January during our non-conference schedule. And, I think by the time we get to MIVA play, like, we're going to have a good idea of who are the guys we can lean on.
Yeah. You talk about your local guys, and this kind of transitions into my next question of why is it so important to bring high-level collegiate volleyball to the Midwest, where you've got so much talent, but not a lot of eyes on this sport?
You grew up in the Midwest. Take
Yeah.
it away.
I'd have to start with like during my recruiting process, one of the reasons like I came here was like to keep the talent in Indiana. I feel like kids growing up playing this sport, they kind of see like California as like the only volleyball state, but like having guys in your hometown state like stay in your state for that sport, I think is pretty cool, and it shows that like this sport is awesome and it's worth trying.
Yeah, and I'd say it's cool, one, having 3 local Indiana guys on our roster right now that can all play at a high level. And then 2, just even looking at this past weekend, we were down in Louisville for that winter invitational recruiting, and obviously I'm not going to talk about any specific guys, but just seeing the talent coming from the Midwest, from Indiana, from that Chicago region, there's a lot of really good ball around here. And now with Indiana just sanctioning boys volleyball for high school within the past year, hoping to see that growth over the next 3 or 4 years really accelerate.
Well, we talk about the talent you're seeing in high school. What about Midwest volleyball? The style of, is there a difference in style of play that you see in the Midwest compared to, some of these West Coast teams?
Difference in style of play. I'm
Blue
probably
collar
not
grit.
gonna, it's certainly that, right? It's that cold weather grit,
Yeah.
that you grow up with maybe, but I don't know. Even like you look at like our one freshman I brought up earlier, Carlo, like his brand of volleyball, if you didn't know who he was and you watched him, he's kind of this undersized, high flying, like whippy arm guy, maybe more of like hey, he must have grown up in California or something, right? Like I think especially with the internet, social media, guys being exposed to different styles of play all over the place. It's all really kind of like meshing together in a cool way, right? Like you get to steal from some California, you get to steal from the French national team, whatever. Like just you're not in this little silo of like, well, we only play volleyball one way, and I think that's what's exciting is like the brand of volleyball I want is a bunch of like problem solvers, and that means we can be pretty creative or fluid with like how we're trying to solve those problems, right? Not just like stuck to one style of play. Now, the flip side, yes, we need to find our identity as a team too, right? But like, can that identity just be like, hey, these guys solve problems and they figure out how to win?
Andrew, I mean, you're from the Midwest. Is you? Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of beaches, so the beach
Yeah.
skills are. But grass volleyball. Are we taking any shots from grass? What is Midwest volleyball to you?
Yeah, I'd say grass has grown immensely over the past couple of years, especially. Just like having access to that just helps us become like much better more well-rounded players as a whole. I feel like the stereotype is like in the Midwest especially is like there's taller guys and those guys are kind of stuck at one position, whether it's like they only can be a middle or they only hit hard or stuff like that. But now that this grass game is growing, it's really cool to see like just like everyone become volleyball players. We talk about that a lot in our gym of like you're not a middle or you're not a libero, you're a volleyball player. So just having access to I'd say a different style of volleyball just opens up just to like allow us to become better volleyball players, I guess.
And you mentioned you are a taller libero. What about the libero position just spoke to you, saying like, I'm not going to go be a pin, I'm not going to be a middle, I'm not going to be a setter, I'm going to be a libero and run this defense?
That's tough because I mean there's a lot of days where I would love to be a pin. I'd love to go back and serve. But it really helps me stay grounded and know that it's a team sport. And the role that comes with being a libero is like just kind of being a leader. And I've always had pretty good qualities of that. And I also just grew up playing libero. So actually, when I was a kid, I was like the shortest kid on my team. I didn't hit the growth spurt till probably like senior year of high school. So yeah, I've just always kind of been the libero.
Coach Gleason, what can you say about the leadership that you see from your libero day in day out in the gym as a player, as a teammate, as a friend? What do you see from your athlete?
Yeah, you know, alluding to what I was talking about earlier, where last year everybody was so new to what I was going to ask for from them, right? Like our style of play, the expectations, how we carry ourselves. And I think that's just like natural with any coaching change, right? So I think it was hard for any of the guys last year to have that footing of like, hey, I know exactly what coach would want from us in this moment, right? And um, now that Andrew's a junior, upperclassman, we've had a year together, getting on the same page with what we're asking for. Um, it's been cool seeing him have that evolution of like that maturity in moments of like, hey, we're not getting what we want, because I say it to the guys all the time is like, I learn who you are when you don't get what you want, right? And last year, especially as a libero, you can feel pretty helpless if like, hey, I'm doing my job, but we didn't put the ball away, right? And I think kind of twofold. One, just a year of like maturity and growth for him, and two, having better arms, higher volleyball IQ, the work ethic revving up around him has like been like a perfect progression of this program where he can find that footing as a leader. And even if he's not getting what he wants in the moment, like a deep breath. Hey, that's a freshman that messed up. He messed up not because he doesn't care, but because he's learning, right? And so what does he need from me in this moment? Like I'm seeing a lot more of that from Andrew, which has been really cool.
Yeah, yeah. You talk about the progression of this team. Where do you see Purdue Fort Wayne going under your leadership?
It's cool to look at like the next 2 years for us, right? Because we've got one senior on the team, so I keep saying we're young, but we do have a good amount of juniors as well. So this kind of almost looking at this as like a 2-year project of, hey, are we willing to commit to the standard that it takes to win a MIVA this year, or like are we still learning that throughout this season, right? But if that upperclassmen crew, our senior and all our juniors, if we want to put our foot on the pedal, let's do it, right? And for me, I'm trying to as a new coach find that balance of, okay, when are we ready to truly reach that standard? And I could understand somebody else being like, what do you mean? Why are you being patient? Let's just like hold them to the standard, right? Like, but
Yeah.
For me, I think the most fun is when the team buys into that standard and maintains it themselves, right? It's like player driven. And so like, I want to come from a place of mentorship and guidance. And, I tell the guys, maybe might have to bleep this out, but like, I'm not going to put somebody in a chokehold to force them to be at the standard we need, right? And so I understand that there is going to be a learning process to get there, and I'm excited just to see like how much are we willing to push that this year.
Andrew, what has that learning process been like for you? For the other, speak for the other people on the team. What has it been being coached by Coach Gleason?
Yeah, I would say it's just compared to what I've been taught my whole career of volleyball. It's definitely a different system, and in a good way, I think. And I think that is similar to a lot of guys on our team. We're learning a lot of new like system stuff. So it just takes a lot of patience, grinding in the off season, and just being learning how to be consistent within what he's trying to build here. So
Now, can you give us any of these system concepts, Coach, that you're teaching them that seem to be new?
I guess it's just understanding what's happening around you more and not just doing your job in isolation, right? Like there's something to be said for like, hey, if everybody does their job, we can be in a great place. But let me use this analogy of like, if you're about to walk across a crosswalk, like you got the lights, you're still going to look both ways to make sure a car's not coming, and I want the same thing on the court is guys aware of what's happening around them. So like, yes, I know my job, but where are those moments where I can help the guy out next to me, right? Like maybe he came up a little bit short, but I know how to help him out in this moment. And that's, I guess really just that volleyball IQ revving up on the court, offensively, defensively, just having more awareness of what's happening around us. That's pretty broad, but that's all you're getting out of me. I'm not drawing up
No, that's great.
schematics.
What about this season are you most looking forward to this year?
I just say making memories with the team around me, having a good year, winning some games. I know we're gonna lose some games too, but just getting in the gym every day, working hard, and working towards that MIVA championship.
Yeah, and I think for me, um, is seeing the resolve, the grit of this team, right? I think Andrew just said we're not going to win every game. Maybe somebody's going to hear that and be like, well, that's a defeatist attitude. I like to consider myself a realist with an optimistic tilt, right? So knowing in those moments of, hey, if we go 0-2 on a weekend, how do we show up that next Monday? Like moments like that are going to be so important to me to kind of identify, okay, is the culture of this program moving in the direction we need it to, right? Because one way to avoid those moments of frustration and adversity is like, hey, let's just go win every single game. And but I'd also like to think that we're not so fragile that as soon as we have a loss or we're up 23-18 and we lose that set, we talk about having competitive maturity, right? And I want to see how that gets put on display this year. Like that's what I'm excited to see.
I know that's the thing. You're not the only team, especially this year, that either has a new coach, is a new program in the MIVA. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of ability to be a dark horse this year. Because I mean, I feel like you guys know from firsthand experience that a new coach entering in isn't it's, whatever happened last year isn't gonna resolve into this year. What can you say about the other teams that are changing their coaching staffs? And now you're sitting here year two with a little bit more confidence.
Again, we talk about it. It's a grind. I think every single team is going to look a little bit different from last year to various degrees. Obviously, NKU will look a lot different because they weren't a program. Queens will look different with a new coach, right? Like coming into the year with so much uncertainty is, again, either like nerve-wracking or exciting, right? And I think that's what a lot of guys, they need to understand. That's what they've signed up for at this level. At the D1 level is you don't get certainty, you don't get guarantees, right? A lot of these guys on these MIVA squads could maybe go to a D3 school and NAIA and know, like, hey, I'm stepping on the court day one. Like that's a guarantee. And I'm going to be successful at this level. I can guarantee that, right? But when you come into a MIVA gym, you don't have a guarantee of success. You don't have a guarantee of playing time. And I think the teams that can exist in that uncertainty the best are the teams that excel. Like I'll give kudos to a team like McKendree last year, where on paper, are they supposed to do what they did? Probably not, right? And I don't think anybody will be offended by that. But like that's what's so exciting about a team like that, right? And you talk about that Midwest grit, like we're just going to show up and grind. And so now I'm excited to see who's the team that's going to look like that this year. Like, can that be us? Can we be that team that on paper it's like, well, a lot of new people on the court, new guys still learning new systems. Like, here's all the reasons why they shouldn't be successful, and let's crumple those up and throw them out, and let's be that team that turns some heads this year.
Andrew, you hear that? What does that make you feel, right? You, as one of the leaders on this team, how do you maintain PFW's chances of being one of those dark horses in the MIVA?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of just coming into the season with an underdog mentality. I think, as he said, like we could. There's so many reasons why we can't be good this year. Second year coach, a lot of new pieces. But I think we got the right mindsets in a lot of the guys to come in every day and with that underdog mentality, grind, focus in on each week, and just win one game at a time.
Yeah. And to wrap us up, why is Purdue Fort Wayne a team to be feared in the MIVA?
I guess by the time we get to February, people are going to see what we look like, right? Like you got volumetrics will be pumping by then. But I think coming into this year, a lot of people don't know what to expect from us, right? A lot of new players and new positions. And like I said, I think the culture is heading in the right direction in terms of work ethic, arm talent, volleyball IQ. And so like as we're making some mistakes in the gym, they're coming from a place of like youth and learning. And so I think as long as we maintain that attitude of like no finished products, we're a team by April, like we can catch a stride, and the guys that will have been in enough high stress moments to where we're going to know like, okay, here's what we're made of as we roll into late April. And yeah, I think by that point, I'm not really concerned about like, well, what's our record, but like, have we maintained that grit? Have we maintained that desire to get better every single day, every single month? And again, I think we have the talent in the gym to to be a team that people won't want to run into late April?
Yeah, I'd say this year on our roster we got a ton of really competitive guys. So we go down 4 or 5 points in a set. Don't expect us to let up. If we lose 2 in a row in a weekend, don't expect us that next week to come in with no desire to win. So just every week be ready for us.
Well, with that, that wraps up our MIVA Media Day with Purdue Fort Wayne. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to a game this year. So we'll talk soon. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.